to, to people because everybody loved them.
That'd be great. That's what I love about this group is sharing recipes and ideas and what works. So it was for chocolate what?
It is for oatmeal cookies, and I use the extra thick oatmeal. It just had oatmeal, almond milk. I used cacao nibs and coconut oil. And I put in, since cacao nibs have no sugar and they're a little sour, I put in a few raisins to put sweetness instead of sugar chocolate chips. So I mean, it certainly got a glycemic index, but it's not like putting pure sugar in there.
I love it. Yeah.
Definitely send the recipe.
Michael's salivating.
My friends asked me, I used to cook a lot when I was younger, and then I totally stopped. And they were like, oh, would you make us some cookies? So we looked for recipes, and I thought, this looks weird, but I'll make it.
Fantastic. I think that's the art and science of cooking, is just as they say, recipes are like rules made to be broken, experiment, play, you know.
And I'll put the notes on there of what I changed in that recipe, but it was really easy.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah, I think learning to cook is a real skill that many of us have lost in modern day lives, busy living, and particularly now with the pandemic, it's just really even more important to pay attention to. So I'm so happy to see you guys here. And this is our celebration call. It's been 21 days since we started. And as I really want to reiterate, there's no one can fail at this. This was really a discovery, a kickstart into whatever your unique goals are, and just kind of giving you some tools and a roadmap, and hopefully a lot of some inspiration and a lot of education and empowering for you to see what works or what doesn't work for you. So I'd love to hear from everybody. What did you discover in the 21 days?
I discovered that I'm still resistant to drinking water, but I have increased the amount of water that I drink. Not as much as I should, but you know, I have done a little better. And it's interesting, I believe it's because it's humid in Washington, because I always drink water in Texas where it's dry and you're thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you know, I have serious filtered water. It's not that it tastes bad. I just don't like it.
So do you see how we automatically should ourselves? like saying I should be better. We all do it. We all say that.
I'm real good at that. So
what?
I'm real good at saying should. But,
yeah.
And so I'm accepting that I've increased it some and trying to make that a habit. And then I'm going to make it a habit to increase it a little more.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And that's success. Every little movement up we make is fantastic. That's the only way we get to our goals. It's potty, step by step. Find a goal, realizing you need to drink more water. Do you feel, do you notice any difference when you drink more water?
Honestly, no. But because I know that I don't like water, I make I have incorporated soups into my diet. And I mean, which is not as good as drinking pure water, but I get liquids in my diet by doing that.
Yeah. And I think especially in the winter, that's fantastic. Teas, I don't drink, I have my glass of water here always with me, but I find I also have my teacup.
Yeah, teas are good. I can do teas. And so I'm working on that, but I actually took this course to encourage me to do more variety because you can get locked into the stuff that you're always making. And I did accomplish that. I tried a lot of the different dishes and when I didn't have different stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm giving this course so I can get more variety because I find I get in the same rut too of wanting just, it's simple. We get into a pattern. We don't have to think about it. That's how habits are formed. Habits can be good. I mean, our habits become our destiny. So whatever habits we have, we're creating our future selves. So I think constantly or periodically, maybe not constantly, periodically evaluating what are our habits? Are they good for us? Or maybe we want to add a little more variety, like Judy said. Because the number one thing we can do in our diet is what? For health.
Diversity.
Right. Right. For sure.
And by the way, I did make the soup recipes I sent that we uploaded. I got them from my niece who was studied to be an Ayurvedic practitioner, and that's from a friend of hers. And those soups are all supposed to have a perfect Ayurvedic balance. They have incorporated all the different tastes. And I made two of them. I made the broccoli and the squash, and they were both delicious.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing those. Yeah, so for those who may not know, Ayurveda means the science of life. It's a thousands of years old science in India that includes food as medicine, herbs, supplements, breath work. Yoga is a component of an Ayurvedic lifestyle. And they talk about 3 doshas, that we have different types or doshas, and we need a balance. We need the pitta, the fire, for good digestion. We need kapha for grounding and calmness. Vata is where we get can have our energy and our creativity, or we can become out of balance. As we age, we're often too vata, too much like an airhead, too not very grounded. If we're too kapha, we're too grounded, we may have a hard time getting out of bed or meeting our goals. And pitta, we have a very pitta society where we're very, can be hot, fiery, can have too much pitta, could have too much anger, easily snap. So eating foods to balance all of these characteristics and with all these flavors and tastes can be really medicinal. So thanks, Judy, for sharing that. Yeah. So Laura and Michael, how about you guys?
Oh, I've been lazy about making meals, and I realized it goes back to it was more difficult to get groceries this week with the snow and everything. So I have been repeating things that we are so tired of. I'm getting more groceries today and tomorrow, so that should perk it up. But I have to be best, of course, is if I go into Mom's, which I do very rarely, and can just cruise the aisles and find new things. But I think we've both been lazy recently about just about everything. I just have to snap out of it. Part of it is I just hadn't been getting outside as much either to walk, to do anything between the snow and the cold. So today it looks nice, even if a bit cold. But I had a very positive dream last night. I had been in this cycle of dreaming that, it was like a rat in a maze. I was trying to do things or get places or whatever, and there was an obstacle at every part, and it looked hopeless. And last night I had one where I was helping some friends, and even acquaintances, organize photos and all of these things. And they were so interesting, and we made all these discoveries. And someone at the end of the dream looked at me and said, well, Laura, why don't you do that for yourself now? So I take that as a hopeful sign.
Yes. Yeah. And you're so creative, and that's a gift that you have. So last week you said that you were getting more organized. You were a little more organized, and you were getting more organized too. And so it's important for us to recognize these cycles of up and down, and notice, especially in the winter when the weather's bad and it's cold, that it's easy to fall in a hump. So some of the things that you might do to raise out of it from an Ayurvedic standpoint would be to drink green juice. Green juice is very energizing and levitating, or greens. You know, a lot of the comfort foods are heavy that we might often eat in the winter. And that's okay, because sometimes we need that downtime to sleep more, to rest and repair, and not beat ourselves up when we're not up all the time and we're not perfect, that we have these ebbs and flows. So, and I want to notice that we have these automatic negative thoughts and self-limiting beliefs. We call ourselves lazy, or we should be doing more. Just to recognize these and reframe them. Would you tell your best friend that they're lazy? Or would you allow your best friend to say, oh, you know, it's been cold and snowing and raining. Good for you for laying in bed and reading a book or taking an Epsom salt bath.
I need more friends like that.
Yes, but we have to do it to ourselves first. And that's really my goal of a KickStart. It's not a cleanse. It's not a diet. It's just a way to have a relationship with yourself, with a journal. What is it you want? And then how do we focus on what you want and take little baby steps to get there? And instead of sabotaging ourselves when we make a success by immediately apologizing because it's not perfect, or we didn't do it exactly right, or, you know, I think the biggest mistake we can do from something like this is to say, I'm going to do it all at once. I'm going to do it all. Where maybe we're not ready to do it all. Maybe, you know, just drinking more water feels like the right goal for us, and that's fantastic, because it's and the other thing you said, Laura, I want to remind you is the first week that just writing down what you eat is helpful, because where we put our focus, our attention for, is what we're going to get more of. So just even setting out your goals of, gee, I want a better relationship, you know, with myself or my spouse or my friend, or I want, how do you want to feel? And just focusing on that, and what are the things to do to feel that way? Maybe when we're down, to pick up the phone and call a friend, or maybe it's just to acknowledge, I'm down today. I'm going to give myself permission to be a couch potato and love myself wherever I am on this journey. So thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Patty, how about you?
So mine isn't as much on the food front, except I've been in a habit of having the exact same breakfast every day, which I know I have to change up. But it's like I get so happy when I find something that works for me and that keeps me full, and that I know has all the healthy fats I need. And I've learned that I definitely need protein in the morning, and I need, the healthy fats. So, a suggestion you gave me, Lisa, at the beginning, I ended up eating that every day. And so I'm definitely on a search to find that same happy combination of some other foods so that because I don't like this feeling of, I know I'm doing the right thing and I'm so happy I'm doing the right thing, but then I understand that your body gets used to the same thing and that's not the right thing.
So again, loving kindness.
Yeah.
These are all suggestions. Yeah, we want to eat what's makes us happy, and that's how addictions form. You know, we begin to crave something, or we get a emotional attachment to food as well, food and drink. So I'm just suggesting to experiment, play, have some diversity. I do the same thing. I would think the same thing as a smoked salmon.
Yeah, that's what I'm eating.
I'll do it on a nori sheet, or I'll do it in my happy camper bread. I might add, avocado, or knowing that healthy fat. Sometimes the leftover dinner is my breakfast. I found few shakes I like to mix it up. I now can eat eggs again. Hallelujah. Because eggs were great everyday food. And then, of course, I get food sensitivities to it. So good. So that's awareness.
And I know when the weather changes, when it gets a little warmer, I'll get back on my smoothies and a little more.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, but the main thing I've been focusing on is my self-talk and my ants, my automatic negative thoughts, and really just the positive self-talk. I wrote down 4 I will, or I am going to sentences that would be embarrassing if anybody else saw them, but they're on a piece of paper, and I look at them. I try to recite them when I'm not in front of the piece of paper during the day, and then I'll go into my office and look at my desk and just read it out loud, and just to get me out of this rut. And it's not just a pandemic rut. This is my winter rut. This is what happens every winter. I just don't do well in cold weather and in darkness. And then all the my life transition right now is pretty huge. And there's a lot of unknown out there for me. So saying I'm going to, about what my life's going to be, like self-affirmations and being nice to myself, and knowing that there is going to be good out there for me and it is going to happen, instead of the fear of, oh my God, I'm just stuck here. So that's been my biggest task I've been doing every day, to try to teach myself to get rid of the negative thoughts.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's definitely huge, and you are not alone there with that. That's why it's called automatic, and that's exactly the way to undo them. Is to I think
I feel like sometimes there's no other way except for time. But in the waiting process, I'm miserable. So at least these affirmations I can speak, or at least make me feel like I'm doing something in the right direction.
Fantastic. There is something to connect the mind and the body to. It's called emotional freedom technique. It sounds a little woo-woo, but people swear by it. And you might press your hands on the temples and say, even though I'm not exactly where I want to be in my life, I love and accept myself.
Okay.
Starting at the top of the eyebrows, even though I am not exactly where I want in my life, I love and accept myself. Here, the clavicle. But just to say it and, have a physical response to it can make a difference. Just focus again. and use our dis-ease or our, instead of beating of ourselves up, it's use it as motivation that my body's telling me I need and want more. I need and want something different. Here, I'm bringing margin. Did anybody measure themselves or redo the your assessment to see a before and after in the workbook?
I just measured myself now, but then I'm not sure I measured myself in the first place, but it was a measurement I'm completely happy with.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Karen, love and miss you.
What?
Sorry,
Oh,
my phone said something.
Lisa,
yes. Hi.
hi.
Oh, hi, Marge.
Hi, I finally got in. Thank you. I actually did my measurements and my weight was basically was only down by a pound or so, but my measurements definitely improved and I was really surprised. So yeah, they all improved by a couple of inches. So that was really good.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
that's why I like to encourage people to weigh before and after. Because and do the measurements, most importantly, because the weight may not change, but especially the inflammatory weight that we hold in our, especially around our middle, is really important.
Right.
To lower that inflammation. So fantastic.
Thank you.
So we were just sharing what you may have discovered about yourself in the last 21 days.
I discovered,
Michael, go ahead.
yes, I discovered that my wife can be really cruel. Since I wouldn't measure myself, she measured me. But she had gone to a novelty store to get a fake measuring tape.
No. I
Because
used the one Lisa sent.
I sent you that tape.
because we both passed out when we saw the measurements of my waist. So, but I immediately said to myself, Lisa said I couldn't fail at this. So rather than being negative about it, I just have to take a very happy and positive attitude. It'll be so easy to reduce my waist size because it couldn't possibly get larger.
So it's so, especially when couples are working together, it's so common for your wife to want your success maybe more than you, or you,
Right.
because of the love and concern, and that can come across sometimes in not the way we intended to come across. I know intimately, being a health coach, that I had to learn that the more I pushed my husband to want to do something, the more resistant he was going to be. And that's really hard when you love somebody and your life partner, you want them to feel and be their best. That can be really hard, and it can be a real stress. So the fact that you guys are doing this together is such a great show of strength and love, and thank you for being here and
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
and doing it together. Yeah. And sometimes I think we have to love each other until we can love ourselves.
Yeah.
And focus on if we don't have the relationship we want, or not exactly there, or there's challenges, it's easier to focus on the other person rather than to focus on ourselves, for sure. But that's we can't change somebody else, we can only change ourselves. So that was a hard lesson for me to learn, and I'm still practicing that. Love and compassion for wherever we are right now in our journey. And this, as I've said before, this is not an opportunity to beat ourselves up. This is an opportunity to kind of discover, oh, this is harder than I thought. This is harder than I thought. And it's okay. Everybody's in the same boat. We're not alone in that respect. And then hopefully you've gotten some tools just to further explore that. And, you know, the tools are here, the webinars, if you want to go back, I tried to share a lot of information. I am going to send out a survey that I'm really hoping you guys wouldn't mind filling out on how I can improve this program for you. What was good, what wasn't good, what might be missing, how we could make this better, and also an opportunity to also again share what did you learn or what did you discover, was it valuable or meaningful, and if so, if you'd be willing to share that, I'd really appreciate that too. Would be really helpful for me, and that's what I thrive on is feedback and your success too.
One of the things that I did, and this was before your course, is I don't believe in using the microwave. I think it's bad for you. So I almost never use it. So I figured I was closed up in my house with the pandemic, and I bought a countertop steam oven. And it made it so much easier to cook, especially for 1 or 2 people. And I never put anything in the microwave. I warm everything up in the steam oven. It tastes so much better. And it's also got a bake steam function, so you can make fish on bake and steam. And it's them really moist. It was totally worth it. I kept resisting because they're not cheap. You know, they're in the $300 range. But when you're one person and you got that oven, you almost don't even need another stove.
Oh, can you put that in on the Facebook page? Would you share that?
I'll be glad to. I mean, I was like, and the other nice thing about it is I get distracted and I go do other things and I have to remember to go back. This thing has a timer. You go, it takes it 8 minutes to warm up. You just put it in there, and if you forget to go right back, it's there, it's waiting for you.
Nice. Yeah, we don't have a microwave either.
I have one because it's built into my house, but and it's a convection, but the convection on it doesn't work very well. This thing that I got is convection microwave in a toaster. And the convection part of it works really well too.
Nice, nice. We also bought an Instapot pot, and my
I
husband
did too.
That's been a lot of fun.
Actually, it makes cooking a lot easier if you're doing a lot of stuff and running around your house. And I don't know if you noticed, but all those soups I sent you were for the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
You could probably make your lentil soup in the Instant Pot.
Yeah, we make oatmeal in the Instapot now. My husband really loves that. And the beautiful thing is I'm not burning things on the stove anymore because I'm infamous of putting it on the stove and forgetting it. Yeah.
How big an Instapot did you get?
We got the one at Costco. In fact, I bought it for my daughter who already has one.
Lisa, it's 6 quarts yours. 6.
Okay, 6 quarts. Thanks.
Yeah, they have different sizes. I bought mine when I used to have people over. We used to have get-togethers. What an unusual idea. And mine's bigger than I need, but I still use it.
Well, what's beautiful about it, you know, we made beef stew last night, and yes, we made much more than we needed, but we just freeze them. And then we have nice, quick and easy meals that we can pop out and heat up anytime.
And yeah.
Marco, would you like to share anything?
Nah, I'm good. Thank you.
The Instapot, is that just cooks it a lot faster? Is that the deal with it?
It's a pressure cooker, and it's one pot that can make rice, steam, saute.
Slow cook. It can slow cook too.
Yeah, plus or like a crock pot. But the an old-fashioned pressure cooker could cook things in a fraction of the time. So whereas you might make a like bone broth, you might cook for 20 hours or 12 or 20 hours. You can do bone broth in really 2 or 3 hours, which actually can produce less histamine than the long term.
And also, if you're making something like chili, makes it a lot easier to do it with the beans from scratch rather than out of cans.
Oh, making what? Chili? Is that what you said?
Chili, like you can
Chili.
use
Yeah.
the uncooked beans, and in the Instant Pot they take 30 minutes. So what's the big deal? You just put them in there. And sometimes if I want to add extra things to the chili, I make the beans and then I just put them right back in the pot and do it. So I find the Instant Pot a really easy way to cook if you don't want to be standing in the kitchen watching your food.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be healthy to infuse all the vitamins. I don't know if that's true.
I think so. I think you don't lose the vitamins as you do in long-term cooking or evaporation with the water. So
I did want to ask you a question. You talked about aluminum, and
Mhm.
almost everything you buy, canned beans, whatever. And I never ate anything out of cans until the pandemic. But when it's harder to get food, and I was told that the cans have white coating inside that protects you from the aluminum. Is that true?
did you say that it can leach the aluminum and the tin can leach from the can?
But apparently if they put some kind of white coating on it that keeps it from leaching. Is that true?
Well, then there's the debate about that coating, that BPA lining can be a endocrine disruptor. So
Some of those are non-BPA, so. who
right, but I think that verdicts out whether BPP or BPC are any really safer than BPA. I always say good, better, best. I do use canned beans. I try and use this, but now with the Instapot, I'm going to be doing less canned beans and more real beans. But I generally rinse the beans, rinse them before you use them from the.
And what about coconut milk? You can get coconut milk in cartons. And after you said that about aluminum, I just bought some cartons of coconut milk.
Yeah, and
Cartons can be lined too with BPA.
yeah, they can be lined too. We're not going to totally eliminate our exposure to toxins. It's just not possible. So what we can do is improve our ability to minimize them when we can, and then improve our ability to detox, and which we can also do with, as we've talked about.
I just had a question about that. And the other question I had is you have some recipes that say that you should have sprouted beans. And are those just sprouted for a day, or are you talking about, it wasn't really clear how sprouted they had to be.
Yeah, and different plants and beans, of course, all sprout differently. Ideally, this is what we did in traditional cooking, was to soak beans and seeds and nuts to remove the antitoxins. They all have a protective coating to keep them from being eaten. And some of that coating actually helps feed our microbiome and is actually good. Some of the coatings can be difficult to digest. So to improve digestion and the availability of the nutrients, when we sprout them, we have more nutrient availability or nutrient density. So, and less gas, less difficulty digesting them. So by soaking the beans or the seeds and the nuts overnight, rinsing them, maybe leaving them out straight. You don't want to leave them out too long or they can grow mold too. So it
So
just,
maybe a day is enough or not even that much?
yeah, I have a chart somewhere. I'll see if I can find it and post it on the time for the different
That would be
pepper
great.
needs.
And
Okay.
you were also going to check into juices. Who would be a good source of green juice?
Oh, yes. Okay. I do like, yeah, for delivering. I think I mentioned.
Lisa, there's a new juice place that just opened in Vienna. I don't know where everybody lives. It's called Green Heart.
Yes, I know Green Heart juices. They used to be in Great Falls. They
And
do.
They just opened a shop in Vienna, and they have one in Aldi and maybe Winchester. And I know they deliver even to DC.
Is it organic?
I'm pretty sure it is, or as organic as it can be.
Some other juices are very high in sugar. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
I'm very careful about that because I don't really like sweets that much. That's why I like things made without sugar. They don't taste as sweet. So I like pure green juice, which is hard to find. I just like it with greens.
Is Tasty Six still delivering, Lisa?
No,
No.
they stopped making juice.
Yeah,
They only make their shots now.
right. Yeah, at this moment.
And puree makes a green juice, but it tastes horrible.
You might talk to her though.
Horrible. You might like it.
You know what? I actually bought that puree. Oh, not puree. Is it Tasty at Whole Foods? Tasty. There's an organic juice bar in Bethesda, and now they sell it at Whole Foods in Virginia. And I bought some cucumber and cilantro juice from them, and it was really good. Let me see if I can figure out the name.
Yeah, I have noticed at Whole Foods there is a new green juice vendor, and Trader Joe's has organic green juice. That's only 4 grams of sugar. No apple, no fruit. It's all.
It is puree, so I guess Judith doesn't like it, but I like it. It is puree.
There's another vendor now at Whole Foods.
Which did you get the all green one?
I did. I got the cucumber one and the celery one.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that one. They have one that's called Green Goddess. That's all mixed greens. And I don't know, they might have added cucumber celery. I have actually suggested to them that maybe they could make it taste a little bit. It's not their most popular juice. And their green juices, the other ones are really good, but they've got tons of apples in them. I actually asked them how many they put in, and that's so much sugar.
Yeah. I have a quick question on another topic that we touched upon, which is the lack of sunlight in our lives. And at one point I had gotten one of these special light lamps, but it was years ago, and it flickers, which used to drive me nuts. It was almost like a fluorescent. A friend had something that I thought was called Virulux. Do you know any of the better light, supplements?
Yeah, Virulux is known as a really good reading lamp that can help support mood. Margot, do you know, I think there's red lamp therapy that's also very
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. I know, let's see if I can look for that too, to share on our Facebook page. Red lamp. There's different colors and wavelengths of lamps that have very healing properties, or can help with depression and seasonal affective disorder. I've had clients use. I don't really have one off the top of my head to recommend, but I do know that they've been useful. And a strobe-like look may not be good, especially if you're prone to, that might be too much stimulation for some people and not be healthy. So would not recommend that. So I did have some slides to share. I think everybody's here. We may go over our 1 o'clock time period because I wanted to share some things if you're interested. And feel free to interrupt me. I also wanted to, at the end, I was gonna share that I'm considering doing a membership model for a group, offering a monthly webinar Q&A like this. And I'm gonna be sending out a questionnaire to see if there's an interest in this or what it may look like, just to stay connected. Because I think, as I said, this is just a kickstart. And I'm always kind of sad when it's over that we've had this nice connection and time together. And I think particularly now, it's important to create a community of connection when we are so isolated physically and more. Cheers. So I wanted to address a few things. We didn't really get to, we spent a lot of time talking about how to maximize, minimize, and prioritize, maximize nutrition, minimize toxicity and inflammation, and prioritize self-care. But we didn't really talk much about personal care products. So I wanted to spend a couple of minutes doing that. And then I thought I would share my story because for my daughter, sometimes we can come across as if I've got all the answers, and it may resonate with you and may be helpful. So we talked a lot about how the chemicals and toxins in our food-like substances can really be a root cause of disease, as well as toxins in the air and the water, and even in supplements and medications. But we didn't spend a lot of time talking about beauty or skincare or even like toothpaste. Last week, we spent the entire time talking about stress and how stress in itself is a huge toxin and not to be underestimated. So the kinder we can be with our own self-talk is really important, as well as others, to lower stress. And what we know about our modern world is that even in the umbilical cord of a newborn baby, before they've taken their first step, the Environmental Working Group did tested the umbilical cord and found 287 chemicals, and that was back in 2005. And 180 of those chemicals were carcinogenic, and 217 were known to be neurotoxins. And we wonder why we have this epidemic and rising birth control issues and issues from everything from neuroendocrine issues with everything from ADHD, anxiety, depression, autism, and even Alzheimer's. And then we looked at the blood and urine of Americans in 2009 and also found a lot of BPA, as we said, the linings of cans and a lot of our food. Teflon, we should not be eating off of Teflon dishes. You know, that stuff scrapes off, that gets into our food and our bodies. And these are often reasons why we can't lose weight. Sometimes it's just what we're using to cook with. And the same with acrylamide and mercury, of course, one of the most toxic substances we know for man. And when we tested these people, how many had these chemicals and carcinogens in them? Everybody. So it's not a matter of how toxic if we're toxic, it's really how toxic are we, and what can we do to reduce the exposure. I like the Air Doctor personal filter. I don't know that I discussed that before, but where in your office or where you sleep to have a good air filter, at least a good air filter in your furnace. Drinking filtered water, no municipal water treatment is really up to standard. To put a chlorine filter at least in your shower so we're not inhaling chlorine. Chlorine competes with the thyroid for iodine, which of course affects our metabolism. And then there's over 1,000 chemicals in the average home. So if we've got recently new carpet, new furniture, renovation, that we are actually bringing in a lot of chemicals, painting that we've got to detoxify it from. And anything on the label that says poison, warning, corrosive, caustic, we kind of take for granted, and we shouldn't be. We should really be paying attention to this, and that our indoor air is often far more polluted than the outdoor, so that when we're not outdoors, when we're inside all day long, we're inhaling and we're absorbing all these through skin. And even a new car smell, that smell is full of toxins that we're inhaling. So, oh, I love that new car smell. Well, we really want to roll the windows down and let that off-gassing happen. There is a healthy living app that you can download on the environmental working group, and you can either scan, you can go to the grocery store and scan your items and see what the ratings are. Our personal care products are endocrine disruptors and carcinogens. Oh, Marge, you raised your hand. Would you like to say something? Just interrupt me for sure. Oh, I need to unmute you, or you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do for chlorine gas, say in a pool? If you're getting in the pool a lot, what do you do for that?
Take extra iodine, or start with kelp, sea vegetables.
Okay.
Because the chlorine and the fluoride, fluorine, chlorine, are halides that compete with the thyroid. And I find this, yeah, swimmers, it's a very, very good question. Better to swim in an outdoor pool.
Sure.
Oh, I took my grandbabies have a pool in Detroit. I couldn't stay in there very long because the heat and the gas, it was so full of chlorine. My eyes burned, my throat hurt.
Right.
I had to go detoxify, and I buy them, my grandbabies, a little kelp seaweed snacks that you can get in a big pack from Costco. They eat these and they crave them. They know. It's funny, sometimes they crave that. Kids will crave what they need.
How much of that do you have to eat to combat the toxin?
Well, I think it depends. The average, so one of the studies in Asian men and women have the least amount of thyroid and breast and ovarian and cancers that are susceptible to poor iodine intake. And their average is 12.5 milligrams a day, which is many, many, many times higher than the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for iodine. If you start to take iodine as a supplement, it can increase detoxification, and it acts kind of like an antimicrobial, antiviral too. It can upregulate detox. So you may want to start lower and slower in case you have a Herxheimer's reaction from it. I typically take 12.5 milligrams of iodoral. It's a combination of iodine, potassium iodine, and that has been most studied and to be a good average for people to take. If you have a hyperthyroidism, there's different schools of thought. It can actually increase your thyroid activity. It can go kind of back and forth as you're adjusting to this. And you can do like an iodine challenge test. You can take a little of the old iodine that we used to use to scrub before surgery, and see how long it lasts in the body, how much your body's absorbing it. Or you can do a urine test for your iodine. But I think typically 12.5 milligrams to work up to that is safe to take on a
How do
daily.
you spell the one you like, Lisa?
Oh, Iodoral. It's Iodoral.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a couple of choices on my full script account. If you don't have a link to my full script, let me know and I can.
And
Yeah.
how do I know if I should be taking that? If I'm going to like the indoor pool a lot and.
Yeah, and actually, I think can be very preventative. Patty, that may be something you may want to add in is some iodine. You may like that. You may like that. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
There's also iodine in drops.
You can get it in drop form too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and drops are sometimes nice because we can kind of titrate up and down easier than a tablet. You can usually get it in half the dose, 6.125 milligrams or 0.5. Our skin is the largest organ and it is absorbing, and especially a lot of the skincare products have nanoparticles that allow it to get deeper into the skin. And then of course we inhale scents and absorb that. So if you're very sensitive to smells or odors or feel nausea, that can be a sign of high toxicity in the body and then really a need to detoxify. So the average woman applies 168 chemicals every day. And you can see here, if you've got a big screen, some of the common worrying ingredients in chemicals. And I gave everybody a pocket guide to harmful ingredients, in your kit. So you can look at them and how they are linked to either neurological damage, possible eye damage, cancers, infertility. A lot of them are hormone disrupting chemicals. And you can see all the areas, particularly for women, really 2 times the amount for men. So we might start thinking about replacing some of our products and reading the labels. And if there are chemicals on there that we don't recognize or that are in the harmful guide, you may want to start clearing out your cupboards and think about, anything that says poison on it. We don't want to put it on our bodies. And try using edibles. Coconut oil I use it for moisturizer. I can use it to take off my eye makeup. I've used it for oil pulling in my mouth. It's an antimicrobial and antifungal. I've used it for sunscreen. There's a very very mild protection, but I think my sunscreen is, and I love the sun, and I feel like I really need the sun. So I go out until I start feeling like I'm getting a little pink, and then I go in and I cover myself up, and that's my sunscreen. Tea tree oil and essential oils that you can use for fungus and rashes, and there are many natural products. We've started using Pure Haven, which is the hand sanitizer I gave you in the kit from this company, because it's the only company I know of that is 100% toxin free, 0 toxins, and it's organic materials, and it's made in the USA. And I just love their skincare. I'm started to use it. I use their shampoo and their cream rinse and their cleaning products. I really love. It's like rosemary and their Miracle. Margot, what's in the Miracles? The laundry detergent, the laundry spray.
Not sure, I can look it up.
Anyway, it's great for stains, for carpet staining, and it's totally non-toxic. But you can go in this Healthy Living app and you can pull up what we think are the healthier choices, Method soap or Myers soap, and you can see that what they're rating. The higher the rating, the more concern there is. And the word fragrance can have 3,000 chemicals in it and be hidden. So fragrance is kind of a way that these companies can hide a lot of garbage. And even the original Burt's Bees that were very clean, they've been bought. I think Procter & Gamble may own them now, but they've become less better, good, better, best. So there can be a lot of greenwashing, a lot of advertising that this is a healthy food, just like we see with gluten-free products. Well, they're not always that healthy, even though they're gluten-free. So something to look at. And here's a couple of pictures of like Tom's deodorant has propylene glycol. This is a carcinogen, natural fragrance. The parabens and the dimethicone and the PEG in Eucerin, which, you know, is what a lot of dermatologists recommend. A lot of petroleum products, which are really not clean and not healthy, even for the unscented. So something to be aware of. Dimethicone, phenoxyl ethanol, the parabens of propylene glycol. These are things to question. And it's interesting, even at the local farmers market, there was a chemist making her own chemicals. And I looked at some of the chemicals on the label and I really would not recommend this. And but it's very ingrained in ours to use a lot of these chemical processes. So when we started this KickStart, I shared this slide with you, these two slides, because I think it's so important to look at the state of our union. And this is an old statement of 2 years ago, this before our pandemic, how a huge portion of our gross domestic product goes toward healthcare and pharmaceutical drugs, and how it is affecting us economically. And yet when we look at outcomes with the 10 other top developed countries, we are the lowest life expectancy, and we have the highest suicide rates, the highest chronic disease burden, and obesity rate is twice the average. So we're spending more for less, and our current system isn't working well. And we have the highest number of hospitalizations from preventable diseases and the highest rate of avoidable deaths. And it's really because we still look at the body in siloed, you know. And I'm going to share with you my own story, because I think it's a good example and why I'm passionate about what I do. In my own story, had I just followed a conventional path, I'd be seeing cardiologist, endocrinologist, a gynecologist, probably a psychiatrist, and I have been on and would be on multiple medications, because we're looking at each body part as separate and missing the elephant in the room. So I do think functional medicine approach is different. It's science-based, it's patient-centered, meaning that the doctor of the future is the patient, that you know your body best. And that by doing this, you know, KickStart is a beginning way to develop this relationship. Oh, Marge, is your hand raised? Do you want to say? Oh, okay.
No, it's not. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
So I thought I would share with you, and so what the functional medicine approach is exactly what we're saying. We maximize, minimize, and prioritize what your unique body needs, and we're all different. Jeffrey Bland was slated as really the father of functional medicine. He has over 120 peer-reviewed research papers, and started a nonprofit focusing on educating healthcare practitioners on the root cause of medicine. And I put this in here because you can't judge a book by its cover. And after writing my book, I had my own hypertensive crises that I really haven't shared publicly much. And I'm on the way to the emergency room saying, I'm the health coach. I was supposed to know everything, you know, I'm supposed to be an example. I can't be having a hypertensive crisis. What's wrong with me? And, you know, my blood pressure is 187 over 131, tightening around my chest, feeling of reflux. Had a lot of mental and emotional stress during that time. My brother-in-law was dying of cancer, was trying so hard to save them. I was working 30 hours a week for the Center for Cancer and Blood Disorders, and I was taking 2 certifications, one in functional diagnostic nutrition and one in applied functional medicine, and having a small private practice on my own. So totally over-functioning, caring for everybody else, not for myself. Had a lot of brain fog, poor memory, trouble sleeping. By the 3rd day at the clinic, I always had a migraine. Came home with a migraine every week. A lot of gas, bloating, irritable bowel. Had an autoimmune disease that I had put in remission when I started down this journey. And that had started to creep back. And a lot of just fungal infection, toenails, warts, little signs of a simmering infection, that the immune system is so busy that it can't take care of doing business. And this is how cancers form. We're so busy taking care of stress or mental emotional that we forget that the body is distracted. You know, my labs, I had elevated ferritin, which is the storage form of iron and cholesterol, which instead of treating them, I'd been put on statins. At 30 years old, I was put on a statin. Instead of looking at it like it's an inflammatory marker, what's the root cause? I had a lot of elevated free fatty acids in my blood work, which is a sign of maldigestion. Elevated homocysteine. Genetically, I have a genetic deficiency, MTHFR, which is very common, about 40% of the population, meaning I needed really bioavailable forms of B6, B9, B12. High hemoglobin A1C. I like to split a bottle of wine in the evening with my husband. Had a lot of stress that can raise that hemoglobin A1C is a sign of 3-month viewpoint of sugar and elevated blood glucose level. Elevated fibrinogen, and which is also a stress marker. Fibrinogen, it helps you clot and it predisposes you to deep vein thromboses. And I see that a lot with the cancer clients, that we really should be testing this, because that's when we could prevent blood clots, and we just looked at it. Low potassium is a sign of long-term adrenal stress when you have a sodium-potassium imbalance. And of course, that's essential for a healthy heart. Elevated white blood cells and lymphocytes and the eosinophils are often a sign of stuff going on in the gut, maybe parasites or infection, allergies. And elevated kidney, BUN. So these are kind of standard blood markers that I didn't know how to look at them from a nursing standpoint. People would have kind of glossed over, but they have a different meaning when you look at it from a functional medicine. So I went to a cardiologist, one of the top cardiologists in the area, who I used to know quite well when I was nursing, and was actually a friend. And I said, I was just studying functional medicine. I said, what's causing this hypertension? Is it mental emotional stress? Is it heavy metal toxicity? Because I had been tested, I was off the charts for lead and mercury. Is it food sensitivities? Is it overgrowth of bacteria in the gut? Is it thyroid? Is it adrenals? Is it nutritional insufficiencies? Is it malabsorption? Is it maldigestion? Is it my genetics? Doctor, what's the root cause? You know what he said? This is my friend. Face it, Lisa. Everybody will have to be on blood pressure medication when they get older. Just take the medication. Don't worry about it. And it turns out I had every one of these. Every one of these was my picture. What? So what did I do for myself to get off the beta blocker and the ACE inhibitor and the statins? All the things that, and they wanted to give me medicine for GERD. Oh, and Xanax for anxiety. All of these things that would have just treated symptoms and not myself. Did a micronutrient test, and I had several several deficiencies that could lead to and indicating leaky gut, malabsorption, maldigestion, multiple food. Everything I was eating was going right through my gut. So I was sensitive to everything. Lemon, garlic, curcumin, oregano, all the healthy foods I was eating. But my stress level was too high, not taking care of myself. And of course, I had H. pylori and overgrowth, which can lead to gastritis and stomach cancer. I had candida, I had dysbiosis, and my heavy metals were off the chart for lead and mercury. It's a wonder I functioned at all. And organic acid testing, I showed had mold, poor detoxification, and a need for glutathione. And I did have a lot of mold in my house, which I've since remediated, thanks to some of my clients who made me, just in the last couple of years, more mold literate, more literate to mold. So I had to do a lot of diet and lifestyle changes. I quit my job. It was kind of, there was a lot of incongruency there. I finished school. I limited the number of private clients that I see. I bought an infrared sauna. Love, love, love that. I did my yin yoga certification. I practiced. I cleaned up the toxins in my personal care products. I improved a personal relationship with my husband. That was an area that we've been married a long time, and we're both entrepreneurs, and it's easy to grow apart when we have other demands. And I periodically now do heavy metal detoxes. I can really tell when I need that. So this is how functional medicine is different. We look at the imbalances in what's lacking in the nutrients. We focus on exercise, movement, trauma, toxins, stress in your life and the environment that may be precursors to whatever the disease is in the body. We have a lot of nice testing we can do now to uncover these hidden stressors, looking at hormones, neurotransmitters, the health of the mitochondria, which is the energy production within the cell. Look at the immune system, inflammation, look at the brain, the central nervous system. Mainly, health begins in the gut, looking at digestion, whether you're absorbing it, and even the skeletal muscular system. A lot of times our being on the computer all day, we're hunched over, we're squelching our oxygen. Marge here is a physical therapist. She can really tell you the power of aligning our structural system. And am I perfect? No. I still have a tendency to overfunction. I still have a hard time saying no. I still have a genetic predispositions that need constant tending to. I need to have my green juice and 80 to 90% of the time eat the best foods and go off the bandwagon every now and then and get back on. I can easily get spun up on politics and the injustices in the world. And that has a huge effect mentally, psychologically, physically, especially as a grandmother now. And I still think I should know all the answers. And the reality is I don't. You have the answers inside of you. You know, my job is just to ask the right questions so that you can figure this out. And I still need to practice what I preach, which is why I enjoy these group programs as well. And so I wanted to share with you my last decade of what I've kind of taken away from what I've learned, and what I love to share with people is that we are all perfectly imperfect, and we shouldn't be striving for perfection. We should strive for excellence. And there's two different things. They don't mean the same thing. Excellence means I'm doing my best and I'm going to love and accept myself just the way it is and the journey. Perfection is this standard we'll never get to, and it brings out the automatic negative thoughts and the self-limiting beliefs and keeps us stuck. We have to practice patience and compassion and love with ourselves first. And we need to love ourselves like our life depends on it. There is a book I've shared with some clients with that title by Kamal Ravinek. a CEO of a Silicon Valley company, which is kind of an odd person to write a book on self-love, but I found that powerful. And we need to love our bodies like they are our children, so that our bodies will love us back. Self-love and self-care is really the root. We need to use it or lose it. We need to move every day, intentionally, joyfully, with love and joy. Whether it's holding hands with somebody or walking outside in the park, or, you know, we need to, or I love yoga. I love just turning on music and dancing to music. We need to move that every day. And we need to focus on where we want to go, not on what's wrong with us. What we focus on is what we're going to get. If we're focused on our disease, on our label, beating ourselves up, what's wrong with me, we're going to stay in that state. So hence the workbook. Don't throw this away because it's 21 days off. Go back to it. Try a journal. Try a daily journal. Get yourself a journal. Practice self-love. And where you want to go. How do you want to feel? And can you feel that way now? The body follows the mind, and the mind follows the breath. If you don't remember anything else from these 21 days, remember this: the body follows the mind. What we think is what we're going to get. And so really be mindful of our thoughts. Stop the shoulding, stop the negative talk, and see how we can reframe our thoughts and celebrate what we do. Know that we've got automatic negative thoughts, and know we have self-limiting beliefs. And if we need to as Patty said, start a new mantra just to change that pattern. And then the breath work. I think Laura said she really felt that to be helpful. Left nostril breathing, put your finger on your right nostril and breathe in and out of the left. Takes a second, and it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. And before each meal and before bed, inhale to the count of 4, hold it to the count of 7, and slowly exhale to the count of 8. So clean up your act, literally, your diet, your thoughts, and your environment. And recognize this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. The tortoise wins the race, just little by little. Ask not what's wrong with me. Ask, what is my self-loving, self-healing, self-repairing body telling me that I might want to do differently? If we're in the slump, if we're depressed, yes, maybe we're lonely, we're in a pandemic. You know, we need to call a friend, we need to go get out, we need to sing, gargle, sing, dance, move the body. If the symptoms, you're really symptomatic, if your assessment sheet here is has a lot of marks on it, higher the number, you may want to seek some support to uncover your unique needs. You may want to do some functional medicine testing and see where do you want to prioritize to really feel and look your best. And so what did we do the last 21 days? We took an honest personal assessment. We started to grow with some energizing thoughts and foods and actions. Hopefully we went a little bit from overwhelmed to more empowered when we saw some simple changes. We started to create the vision by working on goals. And if you haven't done that in the workbook, I invite you to do it now. We practiced, not perfection, so we can ditch that self-limiting belief. And today we're here to measure and celebrate success, and know that each little layer we unpeel prepares us for the next layer, for the next discovery. And I think that's what we do in this earth, this lifetime, is we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always doing self-discovery. So as I shared in my story, I've uncovered a lot of external stress and internal stress, and have been practicing working on it. And I truly believe I wouldn't feel and be where I am today had I not taken these these steps. So this is our last call for this program, meaning moving forward. I do invite you, or if you know anyone else who might benefit from this work, to you're interested in co-creating a personalized plan for your unique body. I'm considering doing a monthly membership program, thinking about once a month to offer a forum like this where we may have a topic that the membership can request. I have plenty of things to talk about with Q&A. If you haven't read my self-help book, that's a good way to start. And I always offer a free discovery call. And I do hope that you guys will, my daughter has put together a nice survey. And if this has been helpful to you in any way or meaningful at all, I would love to hear that, as well as how can I improve? Because we're all here to improve every day.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa.
You're all an inspiration to me.
Thank you. I was saying thank you, but I realized I'd muted myself so you didn't have to listen to my dog.
Love dogs. You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you again. We couldn't have a group without you. And I really appreciate you being honest and vulnerable. It takes courage to be vulnerable and to share ourselves and our stories with each other. But I think that's how we have the most growth and connection. I think that's how we connect to each other.
Lisa, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.